Hello and welcome to EliteGuitarist.com. My name is Tasso Comanescu and I'm going to be teaching today the Valse Opus 8 number 3 by the great Augustin Barrios Mangore. And I'll be doing it on this wonderful brand new 2018 Dominic Worth guitar, courtesy of our friends at Guitar Salon International. Okay, so the Valse 3 by Barrios, this is a waltz and rondo form. And what that means is there's this recurring theme, chorus, I guess you could say, if you're thinking of it in pop music terms. But the form for the piece is A-B-A-C-A. And there's also a coda, so we'll talk about that as well. And one thing I kind of want to point out is there's a huge variety in the classical guitar world of arrangements and fingerings, basically ways to play this piece. And part of this is from the many transcriptions we have of Barrios' students writing these pieces down as the maestro played them. So you should definitely do some research and find what works for you. I think YouTube is a great resource. I personally consulted John Williams' video, David Russell's, other guitarists out there that play this piece to see what they're doing fingering-wise, and then listening to recordings, you can slow things down and come up with your own ideas. The introduction to the piece is bars 1 through 9, and we want to start first of all by making sure your low string is tuned down to full step to D, okay? Make sure you're in tune, okay? And we're in 3/4 time, and the key is D minor, so there's going to be that B flat. And we're starting with a harmonic on the 12th fret of the G string. This is an open G. And in general, I like to play harmonics closer to the bridge. For whatever reason, they sound better there. So I play that there with my thumb, and then I hop to the 5th position and do a slur from the B flat to the A, back to the B flat, with my second to first finger, and then landing back on my second finger. So this is bar 1. Okay? And you want to make sure when you land for the slur that both fingers are down at the same time. A lot of guitarists will do this and just kind of get lucky. You want to land there. Okay, and once you have that second finger down, you're going to leave that going into bar 2 and play a harmonic at the 7th fret of the G string with your 3rd finger, thumb there. And then you have your second finger down, you're going to add your first finger to the 5th fret of the B string. That's an E and a B flat. And you're going to pluck those 2 notes together twice on beats 2 and 3. So this is bar 2. Then we go into bar 3 and we play a harmonic at the 7th fret of the 4th string, which is an A, and we fill out this A7 dominant chord with C sharp, G, and A. So that's C sharp, 6th fret of the G string, G at the 8th fret of the B string, and then A at the 5th fret of the high E string. So this is bar 3. You leave your left hand down, and then in bar 4 you grab the harmonic at the 7th fret of the A string, which is an E, and that is the first 4 measures. So first phrase, here we go, with the bell-like harmonics. And then it just repeats in bars 5 through 8. And there's a rallentando there at the end of bar 8 on beat 3. And so I like to roll the chord there to set up the roll, which gives you an idea we're slowing down. This is the introduction to the piece. And then we end with a harmonic on the 7th fret of the low D string. And this is in bar 9. So that's the intro, okay? And once you hit that, there's a fermata implied there. And so you want to count in your head, 1, 2, 3, and then the official A section starts. The A section, starting on bar 10, okay? Now this is going to repeat twice, so I'm going to walk you through it once, and then at the end, I'll give you some ideas of how you can make it different on the repeat if you like, okay? There's this rhythmic motif throughout this whole A section, which is bars 10 through 36, And the rhythm is 1 and 3 and 1. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, okay? And then the chord will change underneath, and then it's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Now, sometimes I pluck all those, especially in the upper registers, and I'll show you that when we get there. But in this first part, I definitely do a slur from the and of 2 on to beat 3, and then pluck the and of 3, okay? So this is bar 10. It's an open D with an A on top with your first finger at the 5th fret of the high E string. Play those, little vibrato, then fill out the D minor chord underneath with your 4th finger on the 7th fret of the G string, and then your 2nd finger on the 6th fret of the B string. Okay, so that's beats 1 through 2, and then on the and of 2, you're going to move your 3rd finger to the B flat here, do a slur to the 1st finger, which is still on the A, and then pluck the B flat again. Okay, so this is bar 10. And then going into bar 11, notice how I leave these 2 fingers down the whole time. I'll do that one more time. And you can do some vibrato there in bar 11, which is really nice. Fill out the chord, get a feel for the guitar, etc. And this is just a D minor chord. It's diagonal, 5, 6, 7th fret along the high E, B, and G string with an A in the bass. So bars 10 and 11, one more time. Leave your 1st finger down in bar 12, kick your 3rd finger down to the 7th fret of the A string, which is an E. And then on B2, you're going to play a C sharp at the 6th fret of the G string, and then a G at the 8th fret of the B string. It's an A7 chord in 2nd inversion, and then move your 2nd finger to play that slur motif between B flat and A. And I leave my pinky down, okay? Because technically that note should be ringing underneath, but you have to let go of the C sharp to play the slur there. And then you continue in bar 13 with that A7 chord. So A and A, 2 octaves apart, beat 1 of bar 13, followed by C sharp and G, 6th fret, 8th fret underneath. And I like to rest stroke the melody there with my middle finger, and then play the accompaniment with I and M, okay? So bars 10 through 13 sound like this. And then it takes us to bar 14. So now we're in bar 14, and this is where something new happens. In bar 14 and 15, there are many ways to play this, and I personally prefer the way John Williams does it. There's some rubato involved, there's an accelerando. It's almost like you're getting to the top of this roller coaster, then you pause at the very bottom when you crash, or not crash, but slide into this open E string that negates this really cool transition. And we'll walk you through that, and I would just like to point out that when we get to that high D there and beat 3 of measure 14, when you glissando into that, you want to put some pressure with your pinky so you can hear the note versus this. See how it's kind of quiet there? Okay, so let's talk about what just happened there. We're on beat 1, open D, and then A at the 5th fret of the high E string. And then this D minor chord that we've talked about. Okay, so it's A, F, D, 5, 6, 7th fret going across on the and of beat 2, and then a glissando from the B natural at the 7th fret of the high E string with your pinky to the 10th fret of the high E string, which is a D. But notice how I leave my 1st finger down. It's because right afterwards I'm going to play that C natural at the end of bar 14 with my 1st finger. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, sorry, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and he messes with the time there, so it's just a lot of rubato here. Okay, and this takes us into bar 15. Okay, so we're going from B flat at the 11th fret of the B string with your pinky, A on the same string at the 10th fret with your 3rd finger, pulling off to the G with your 1st finger, okay? And then going to an F natural on the 3rd string with your 3rd finger at the 10th fret, followed by an open E, which is going to take you down to the D here at the end of the bar. So, okay? So I use my index finger here, M, I, M, I, A. And notice how my thumb is planted on the 5th string the whole time. So I roll the chord, go up. As soon as I do that, the thumb's on the 5th string as an anchor, waiting to play that B flat at the start of bar 16. Okay? And one of the variations you can do on this is if you really want to milk it, instead of playing an open E, you can play this E at the 9th fret of the G string. And then slide off. You know, maybe if Segovia had ever decided to play this piece, he might have done that. Anyway, so that's how you negate this first difficult passage, in my opinion. But again, you want to spend some time looking at the different ways. You can follow what's written there. I definitely had changed the fingerings in the Stover edition. The one thing that is consistent is there's a poco accella rondo, and then a retard at the very end, which allows you to get down here. Okay, and where you're going in bar 16 is you're playing a B flat in the bass at the 1st fret of the 5th string, followed by, at the same time rather, with a D with your 4th finger at the 3rd fret of the B string, and then you grab the E at the 2nd fret of the D string with an open G on B2, and then E, D, E, it's like a Baroque ornament almost, A, M, I, and then P and M together, again on beat 1 of bar 17, followed by beat 2 there with your thumb and index finger, the E and G again. Okay, so this is bar 16. Now it's written to play. This is really fascinating, by the way, and I only figured this out by slowing down the Williams recording. I was wondering, you know, how does he make this transition so fluid going into bar 19, where the bass note jumps an octave and starts this really cool descent that we'll talk about. But I was having a hard time going from here all the way to here, like what's written. But what John Williams does, which is really fascinating, is on beat 3, he plays open D and G. And then takes off there. So you can decide on your own. If you're recording the piece, maybe you do this. But if you're playing it live, and I certainly do this live, I let go because I don't want to mess up that transition. So that's beat 3 of bar 17, and kind of plays into this whole, you know, mystery behind Barrios' music and all the different ways of doing it, and makes you want to go see someone play the piece live, you know, or maybe buy their recording. So now we're looking at the second important phrase here in the A section, starting at bar 18. And we're going up an octave all the way to the 8th fret of the D string, B flat here with our thumb, and then a D at the 10th fret of the high E string with our 3rd finger, okay? And I use a rest stroke with my middle finger and thumb, so you want to practice that. You can practice that just to open strings when you warm up. Bring out the melody, and then play with your index finger the E at the 9th fret of the G string with your 2nd finger. And then that A, M, I, M. So, pause here, great technical exercise. Just open strings, thumb and middle, index, A, M, I, and then thumb and middle again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. 1, 2 and 3 and 1. Which is what's happening. That's how you work on that and get it clean, okay? So for those of us especially that are wanting to play this piece at a quicker tempo, you want to isolate the hands there, okay? So moving on now to measure 18, like we just were discussing, we're here, and then you can leave that chord shape down. I like to do some vibrato going into bar 19. That's that B flat and D, followed by 2 E's in the accompaniment. Rest stroke helps because you can separate the melody from the accompaniment. It doesn't sound as good if you do this. Have everything be the same volume. Melody, accompaniment. And that is a principle you want to work on the whole time. So I'll come back to that again. There are some really cool jazzy chords as you're going down this progression, and we'll talk about that as we're going through it. So now we're in bar 20, okay? You're coming out of bar 19, you want to leave your third finger down here and then extend into one of these shifts that you're going to have to practice, which is moving your first finger down a fret to the A at the 7th fret of the D string, and then your middle finger up a fret to the 10th fret of the G string, which is an F. Your third finger was an anchor coming out of bar 19, and then the E, D, E theme is the same there, A, M, I with the right hand in beats 2 and 3 of bar 20. So this is bar 20 slow, bar 21, and then you let go. You have this D. I like to do some vibrato here sometimes, or do a glissando into the start of the next measure, which is bar 22, okay? So bar 19, actually let's back up to bar 18, bar 20. Notice how I'm rest stroking the start of every new chord there, okay? And now we're in bar 22, and this is a 2/3 bar at the 5th fret. Okay, this is a D at the 5th fret of the 4th string with a B flat at the 6th fret of the high E string. Okay, play those together with the rest stroke if you want, and then add the accompaniment, which is a D and an E, D at the 7th fret, D and an E, D at the 7th fret of the G string, E at the 5th fret of the B string, and if you're rest stroking with your middle finger, you land right on that string, and all you got to do is bring your eye and then pluck, which is nice. And on the end of 2, you find the C natural here, slur by pulling off to the B flat, and then the A at the 5th fret. Notice how I leave my second finger down. Helps with the slur. Use your first finger as a guide here to the 2nd fret in bar 23. That's an E and a G. E at the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and G at the 3rd fret of the high E string. Okay, it's a half diminished chord here, and I definitely take this fingering from John Williams. And then the accompaniment is a B flat and a D. B flat with your 2nd finger at the 3rd fret of the G string, and D with your 3rd finger at the 3rd fret of the B string. Okay, and then you want to use your pinky as a guide up 1 fret to the G sharp, the start of bar 24, playing open D. Okay, that was bar 23. Now in bar 24, use your pinky to slide up 1 fret to the 4th fret of the high E string, play that with an open D, and then a half bar playing that B flat and D you just came from underneath, and then an open D here. So bars 23, 24, 25. Okay, really cool A7 chord over C sharp. And I like to put some tension on this open D here. And then resolve. Going into the C diminished chord, coming up here, okay? And this is at the start of bar 26, okay? So one more time from bar 18 to 25, you're gonna see this descending bass line, B flat twice, bar 20 you have A twice, then bar 22 G, and then E, D, C sharp, and then C. It's really, really cool. And you have this melody over top, genius, genius writing. So from bar 18 slowly, B flat, A, G, E, D, C sharp, and then C natural. You can just feel this beautiful, beautiful phrase, and I highly, highly encourage you there in bar 26 to enjoy it, okay? So now we have C natural, 3rd fret of the A string with an A on top, which is with your 3rd finger at the 5th fret of the high E string, open G and E flat underneath with I and M, That E flat is at the 4th fret of the B string. B flat, A, B flat, A, with that same A-M-I-M combination. So A-M-I-M. You can end on a rest stroke if you want to. Now you're going to use your 1st and 3rd finger here as a guide into bar 28. 1st finger slides down 1 fret, 3rd finger is going to slide down 2 frets, B at the 2nd fret, B natural I should say, the 2nd fret of the A string, with the G natural at the 3rd fret of the high E string, and then you have that open G, and then D with your 2nd finger at the 3rd fret of the B string, A, M, I, okay, same thing here, G, A with your 4th finger at the 5th fret of the high E string, and you're going back and forth between that G, you actually change the chord now going into bar 29. G stays down as an anchor. You move your 1st finger down 1 fret to B flat, open G and C sharp. C sharp's at the 2nd fret of that B string. And then you're now going to let go and slide and there are a number of ways of doing this. Some people do it from the C sharp. Okay? Some people do it from the D as well. It's totally up to you. I've seen it done both ways. Versus. Okay? You can decide. This takes you into bar 30, and we have 4 more measures to wrap up this first part of the video. Okay? So we're sliding from either C sharp or D, like I had said, pressure in your glissando up to the F natural, the 6th fret of the B string, that open A, and then your accompaniment here is A and D, 2nd and 3rd finger. A is at the 7th fret of the D string, D is at the 7th fret of the G string. Slur from G natural at the 8th fret with your pinky to that F, and then play it again. Then move your 1st finger down now in bar 31. You're sliding down with your 1st finger to the 5th fret of the B string, playing an E at the 7th fret of the A string with your thumb. Okay? And then your middle finger is going to play a G sharp here at the 6th fret of the D string, and your pinky is going to play the 7th fret of the G string, which is a D. Okay, so bar 31, let go and move up to the F, the 6th fret with your 1st finger, open B and hammer on back to the F, and then slide it down 1 fret, beat 1 of bar 32, A and E with an accompaniment now of A at the 7th fret of the D string and C sharp at the 6th fret of the G string. Leave those 2 fingers down and play a harmonic, and then the accompaniment again. Notice how I move my thumb to play the harmonic there. It just sounds better, in my opinion, than right here. See how it just rings more? And that concludes the first section, the A section. Okay, this was bars 10 through 36. And bars 34 and 35 and 36, that's the second ending, okay? So bar 31 is exactly the same as bar 34 until beat 3, where you're now gonna slide down. So that A7 chord, P-I-M-A with the right hand, F, 1st fret of the high E string, and then this D minor chord, low D, F natural, A, D. So F natural, 3rd fret, D string, A, 2nd fret, G string, D, 3rd fret, B string. Let that ring, then take your right hand, artificial harmonics, beats 2 and 3 of bar 35, and then the downbeat of bar 36. Okay, so you're gonna hold that chord. 1st finger's gotta go down at the 1st fret of the A string. You go 12 frets up to the 13th fret. Index finger slightly on there, and then you're gonna pluck with your A finger. Then let go of your 1st finger, 12th fret, same string. Then let go of the chord, bar 36, and play an open D. Bar 35. Okay? So every time I play the A section, I make it kind of different. The second time here, I'll play it more urgently with less rubato. And, you know, just have some fun with it. And this concludes part 1 of the tutorial.